wanted to introduce a new product today. This is a Hunter Tool Systems kit that you can purchase off of the Hunter website. It comes in both a fork configuration and also a little shovel or trowel. And you buy it like this in a kit, and then you make your own handle. And we're going to spend a little time today talking about how to make the handle. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. There's what the little shovel looks like. Stainless steel, high quality material. Comes with a little ferrule and some instructions that are inside the box. Now, what we're going to do is using a piece of silk wood. This is a piece of wood about 8 inches long, about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and we're going to mount that into a chuck, a scroll chuck, and I've got a little mark on the end to show the center point. So I'll bring the tailstock up to that center point and just tighten it in like so, and then tighten down our chuck nice and tight. I want to get this really tight. Okay, then we'll move our tailstock out of the way, and we're going to replace this live center with a drill chuck. And the drill chuck has a 3/8 inch drill bit on it, just like that. Here, we'll bring that up to the piece. And the idea is you're going to drill a hole in the handle to accommodate the shank of this little shovel. Okay, so we'll make sure that's on there good and tight. Turn the lathe on that's about 600 RPM. We're going to grab hold of the drill chuck like so, and we're going to drill a hole that's about 2 inches deep, 2.5 inches deep. Now we'll move this tailstock back and take the drill chuck off. We won't need that anymore. We'll put the live center back into the tailstock, bring that up, and it will stabilize now through that hole the back end of the tailstock side turning. Then we'll bring our tool rest up to the piece and make sure we have clearance, and then using a roughing gouge, we'll bring the speed up to about 2,000 RPM, and we'll turn this into a cylinder shape using this roughing gouge. By the way, notice that I'm using my hand here on top of the piece to flex all the shavings, keep the shavings from coming up into my face. That's a handy technique to have. And at the gouge is at about a 30-degree angle. That's pretty flat. Look, all the flats are off of it now. Okay, next thing we're going to do is take this ferrule. It's a brass ferrule that comes with a kit, and we're going to take a couple of measurements. We'll measure the ID, which is, this one is right at 1 inch. And we'll measure the diameter here. It's 5/8 of an inch. Okay. And we're going to take that 5/8 of an inch measurement for the thickness here, and we'll transfer that to this dimension so we can cut this down to accommodate the ferrule. I want to give it that 5/8 plus about another 1/8 of an inch just to play with. We'll transfer that dimension right here and just make a little mark. And I'm going to take a very sharp parting tool. This is like a 1/2 inch, 3/8 to a 1/2 inch thick parting tool. Turn my speed up. And we'll take this down to the approximate thickness, or the diameter, inside diameter of that ferrule. Bring it right up to that registration mark. inside diameter right at 1 inch. And we are there. So the ferrule going like so. And you take just a little bit more material off there on the end. Just chuck that back up. And I'm going to remove just a little bit more material right here. That should just about do the trick. There you go. Now note I've got some material extended out. It's about a 1/16 of an inch proud. The ferrule is of this wood. So we're going to take the wood and we're going to round that corner off just as a decorative effect. I'll remove the ferrule for now. Turn the lathe back on. And using a very sharp skew, we'll just round that surface off. So the bevel's right here and gives you a nice finished look. Okay, so we'll put the tailstock back in place. Now we're going to do some finishing on the handle and put a pleasing design in. And to start that process off, I'm going to use a number 4 Hunter cutter tool. This has got a carbide cutter on it. It's very sharp. It'll do a nice job. And I'm going to hollow out this area right in here. And we're keeping the cutter at about a 30-degree angle. We're going to hollow this out where it's a pleasing shape that fits the hand nicely. Okay, you can test it out, see how you like it. That feels pretty good. Now with this very sharp skew, I'm going to do some decorative cuts right here on the end. We'll stop the lathe, move the tailstock out of the way, and test this ferrule one more time, because there's a lip right here where the brass is going to meet the wood. You want to make a nice transition from the wood to the brass. So leave a little beat right here to accommodate that. Okay. Now from here I'm going to finish off the back side, and I'm going to use the skew again to do that. I'll leave some meat here on the end to accommodate our sanding. I think I'll put one more little decorative cut right here. Maybe 2. Now at this point I'll do some sanding, and then we'll do the finish work and assembly, and we'll have a finished piece very shortly. Now I've got the piece all sanded. I'm just going to do some hand sanding in the direction of the grain now, just to finish it up. Get all those scratches out of the piece. Make it look nice, even though it's just a garden tool. Still, it's nice if it looks good. You want it to look professional. Okay, now I'll put a little paper towel on the bed of my lathe, and I've got some sanding sealer here. This is a Mylan's brand sanding sealer that I always use. Put some on a brush, and we'll just brush that on the piece as you see here. Get it in there good and soaked. With the sanding sealer you have to move fairly quickly because it dries fast, and you don't want it to be all clumpy. And that alcohol that's in the sanding sealer evaporates. It'll get a little clumpy if you don't wipe it off fairly quickly. So it really makes the grain pop. Looks pretty nice. Now from here, one of the things you might consider is to go ahead and glue on the ferrule using a two-part epoxy. And the reason for doing that while you've still got it on the lathe is in case you're a little sloppy with your epoxy and get some on the wood after it's glued in place, then you can still come in with some sandpaper or a little sharp tool like a skew and clean it up. But what we're going to do now is go ahead and part this piece off. I'm going to close up my sanding sealer, get that out of the way. Now I'll show you how this parts off. Okay, getting a nice close-up on the piece. We'll move our tool rest up close, as close as we can get it and still have clearance. And then turn the lathe on fairly fast, about 2,000 RPM. And I'm using a thin parting tool. This is a Chris Scott version. I think it's 1/32 of an inch thick. And very carefully move this nub, just as you see there. When you get down to about an 1/8 of an inch thickness, you might put your hand here to catch it as you cut it off. Okay, so I'll take this now and clean this up with some sandpaper and do some finishing and then final assembly. Okay, so I've got my handle all done and ready to do the installation of the hardware. To accommodate that, I'm going to take some two-part epoxy. This is a Loctite epoxy gel, 6-minute variety, but just about any two-part epoxy will work. And we'll put that onto a little piece of cardboard, a generous amount. Squeeze it out there and seal this back up. Use it later. And use a toothpick to mix the two parts together, as you see here. Get it good mixed. Now I'm going to take a very small amount of this and I'm going to spread it right here on this edge where the ferrule is going to go. You don't need much. You don't want it to seep out from the edges. Just a light application. And we'll put the ferrule on with the bevel or chamfer on the outside. Give it a little spin, get it on there real good. And now the ferrule's in place. Now we'll fill this hole with the rest of the epoxy mix. Very carefully getting it inside that hole. If you get anything on the sides, you can probably use a paper towel or a little cloth to clean it up a bit. Then we'll take the shovel, and I'm going to line this up with the grain. You can see how the grain is shaped. So I'm going to line it up just like this. And we have to work our way to get it in there. Kind of a tight fit. Get it all the way to the bottom. And we'll let that set overnight. And we'll end up with a finished piece. Beautiful, high quality stainless steel garden shovel and garden fork. Thank you.